Hi everyone, welcome to Camila Cava Food Photography Podcast, a place where I interview talents in the industry to extract valuable lessons. I'm Camila Cava and today I'm joined by Evan Naka, Los Angeles photography sensation, founder and owner of Naka Studios, and a highly accomplished commercial photographer. Evan's career has exploded in recent years, and he's found a loyal community of 420,000 followers on TikTok for his never ending supply of exciting, engaging, and educational behind the scenes content. Evan has done work for brands like White Claw, Truff, and Morph Cosmetics. Join us as we talk about social media, client shoots, balancing long term projects as an independent creator, and of course, food photography. Hi, Evan, and welcome. Hi, Evan. Welcome on the podcast. Thanks so much for joining me.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
How are you today?
I'm doing good. Well, it's 8 a.m. here in Los Angeles, so it's our day's just getting started, but so far so good.
Nice, exciting, exciting. So, if that's okay for listeners that don't know you, could you introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Evan Tanaka. I go by Evan Naka on Instagram and social media. I'm a photographer, videographer. I've been doing this for a while now, handful of years, and I work a lot with lifestyle photography, videography, and I probably am best known for a lot of my product photography. Um, just I don't know, maybe this is too much too soon, but like my whole idea and concept of like photography and especially around product photography is I love bringing life to all the images. And because I think a lot of times product photography gets a bad rap, and I think people think it's boring in a sense, and they just think of such a traditional like, oh, white seamless, put a product there. But um I don't know, I see it very differently, and I like bringing life to images and trying to kind of show a little bit more of what that product actually is.
Uh-huh. That's so interesting that you say because I'm a food photographer and I have exactly the same with food photography. Like I
Yeah,
need some sort of action in my image to just bring that image more to life, as you say. So that's really cool, I
absolutely.
think, what you do. Really, really cool. And how long have you been photographing now?
I mean, so it's been on and off probably now for 7 or 8 years. I've been doing
Mm-hmm.
professional work more like 5 years. And
Uh-huh.
then now just recently going on my own, freelancing, having Naka Studios now for about 2 years. So in the grand
Right.
scheme of things, not that long, but yeah, it feels like been a long journey to get here.
Sick. Interesting. Yeah, actually, one of the questions I wanted to ask you is Naka Studios, indeed, because you have Evan Naka as a personal brand, but also
Mhm.
Naka Studios.
Yes.
Could you tell more about Naka Studios and why you decided to, yeah, separate basically your personal
Separate.
branding into more like a studio?
Absolutely. So it's always been my goal since the beginning of like realizing that I want to make photography and videography my career. I've always wanted to work
Mhm.
at an agency. That was right out of school. Like, well, first off, I went to undergrad and I didn't go for photography or anything like that. I went to grad school and I didn't go for photography or anything like
Uh-huh.
that, but I knew I wanted to be in marketing and I wanted to be a part of an agency. So that's always been my goal. And
Mm-hmm.
then when I started picking up the camera and realizing that I love taking photos, I love creating videos, and that was the most fun part for me. That became a
Mm-hmm.
huge piece of my career goal. But that Naka Studios, where I can bring people together, we can create together, we can collaborate with brands
Right.
and put on bigger productions. That's what Naka Studios is there for. And then myself as the creator, obviously, kind of showing
Mm-hmm.
more of the behind the scenes, how I set this up, giving back to people who are in a similar position as I am, where, again, I didn't go to school for this. A lot of people out there didn't go to school for this. And YouTube is great. But a lot of times with the intricacies or how to set up a certain shot, or, I mean, they just want like little quick snippets and, help with,
Yeah.
how are they going to get better as a photographer? So that's really what Evan Naka social media is for, and then Naka Studios is to put together the bigger productions.
The bigger, basically working with the bigger brands, etc.,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And now you're growing basically your Naka Studios. And how many people do you have on the team right now, actually?
So right now we have like three, I would call them full-time people, but that's mainly producers, communications, then obviously myself. But then because of how long I've been doing this and being in Los Angeles,
Yeah.
obviously really helps. I've made some great contacts that we just work together regularly on a lot of different
Right.
projects. So I think especially during a time like this in quarantine where everything's so, uncertain and where things can be going in the next
Mhm.
6 months, year, even 2 years, keeping a lean team with low overhead from an agency standpoint is, I think, really just financially responsible and being
Yeah.
able to just utilize and bring together these really creative and talented people for specific projects has seemed to be the best way to kind of grow an agency during this time.
Mhm. Oh, that's really exciting. Growing your own agency, I think
Yeah.
it's a next step. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah.
it's a lot of fun. It's like it's always been a dream of mine, and there's tons of creative agencies in Los Angeles and let
Uh-huh.
alone the world. But I think every small boutique agency they have their own special thing to offer, and that's what we're trying to
Yeah.
do with like my philosophy on photography, product photography, and trying to bring that life to pretty much stereotypically boring images. I
Yeah.
think that's what we can do for people.
Yeah, that's really exciting.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so one of the bigger topics I was hoping to talk about today is TikTok.
Oh, love
Because
TikTok.
right now it's so important. I think it's so important, and you're doing so great on it. So I was just wondering if, I mean, like, how did you start it all in all to use TikTok, and
Yeah.
what were your learnings from the beginning that you feel like helped you grow that quick? Because you're huge on TikTok, Jesus.
So TikTok, that was an interesting time in my life, and I haven't been on TikTok for very long. It's probably not even a year yet. And
No?
no, not even a
Oh,
year. And the whole reason I started TikTok and yeah, it's just funny, I guess. So I was actually working in a full-time job as a content producer, and so I was directing all the content for this brand, and I I get very bored easily, and I like to do a lot of different projects, and I had clients outside of my job, and I was on a very close watch on my Instagram of what I was able to
mhm.
post because they only liked me promoting their brand. And so
Right.
what TikTok was for me was an outlet. It was an something for me to share more work that I was doing and
Uh-huh.
share more behind the scenes because that's something that I really enjoyed. And I think, a year ago I didn't know as many of these pages that had the behind the scenes and everything, and now I feel like I see them all the time. But I didn't see it
Yeah.
as much, and I wanted to show that because it was the thing I enjoyed. So that's why I got on TikTok. A friend of mine was just came to me, and he was convincing me over months. He was like, "Dude, you need to get on TikTok. You need to try it out." I'm just like, "No, I don't have time for this. I don't. I'm not going to jump on this thing that I have no idea what it is."
Yeah.
And every time I sign on, and I still feel like I do, like I don't understand this. How does this work? Like, what is the point? Um, and so then I just find like, okay, let me give it a shot. And I uploaded some behind the scenes that I did and did a photo. And my first video got like, I think now it's at over 1 million. But back then, my very first video when I had zero following got like 300,000 views, and I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
this is an amazing just organic growth platform,
Yeah.
and I can get my work out there, and that's what I utilized it for, and it was a really good marketing tool for me and a kind of a escape from my day-to-day job and showing more of what I'm able to do beyond what I
Yeah.
was doing full time.
That's really fun. And did you see any big impact on your business after you started really growing on TikTok?
So it probably took a little bit because I think I was just this is right at the beginning of quarantine and the pandemic hit, and a lot, I mean, everybody went through their own personal issues and career issues, and it was no different for me where I actually got laid off my full-time job, and it was a moment of, okay, I have two options.
Mm-hmm.
I can either sit here during this global pandemic and hope to get some new work or try or just wait it out but I decided to use that time as just kind of experimenting. And that's when I started doing a lot more product photography where I would literally just walk down grocery aisles and see, a Kit Kat bar because I love Kit Kats. And I was like, oh, I'm going to grab a Kit Kat. Oh, a Hostess cupcake. And, obviously there's a, a theme, all this junk food that I love to take photos of because at the end of the day, I get to actually eat it. And that's how it all started. And I would just grab these things and I just like to show action, motion, behind the scenes, and I would just do it for free and just for fun. Um, as I did that, and the following started growing, and it really didn't affect Instagram at all. But probably around like 60 or 70,000 followers is when I got my first reach out from a brand saying, "Hey, we love your stuff. Would you be interested in doing something?" And it was the first time that social media had gotten me a job. So that was kind of a shock for me, and I was like, "Wow, this is a powerful marketing tool." Um, and that happened, and we did really well, and we did a couple other shoots after that, and then slowly things started kind of building up, and then the following started translating over to my Instagram. Um,
Hmm.
and from there, I think I've gotten more brand reach outs on an Instagram level, but the recognition that I've been getting from the brand saying like, if jump on a call with, I mean, it doesn't I mean, like, so I did a shoot with White Claw. When I jumped on a shoot with White Claw, there was their marketing team said, "Oh, we're big fans. We follow you on TikTok." So that helps get the conversation going, and it
Yeah.
it makes it a lot more of just a good back and forth conversation versus like, "Hi, I'm Evan. I'm a
Yeah.
photographer. This is what I can do." It's they've seen what I can do. Now let's see what we can do together.
Yeah. It's like an extra social proof and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
I bet the Instagram also grew so much. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting, and this is something I talk to a lot of people about, and how I think, especially for creators and content creators, social media is the new resume. And that's what I think is just so important that people can utilize it well for whatever it might be. And it's not just for content creators, interior designers, painters, um, anything that you're able to visually demonstrate what you're able to do. Instagram, even TikTok is very important to be if you want to utilize it in that way.
Yeah.
Because again, I think TikTok does get like a little bit of a bad rap of, it's all the dancers and stuff, and it's like I can't dance, I have no rhythm
I
whatsoever,
know. That's in the beginning what you think. Yeah.
and and it can be used for a lot more than that.
It's not really only like that. No.
No, it's definitely grown, and
It's weird to say I learned so much from TikTok.
yeah,
Like,
right.
yeah, I don't know.
I know, and
I think it's
it's
really
pretty
useful
easy to get.
once you get into it and you know how it functions. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to get lost on
I
there.
mean, like, I'm not even that big on TikTok. I think on TikTok I have only 10,000 followers, something like that.
Yeah,
But that already, I got like two reach outs for a shoot as well. Not from food, so I didn't really work through, but still I got reach outs because of a TikTok, because it's also
yeah.
so targeted within your own country, at least in the beginning. I don't know if it's the same for you.
Yeah, it's very targeted. So some things like, since I'm obviously doing photos and videos and things like that, I have friends who are more into fashion. Like we'll see completely different things on our timelines or feeds, and it'll it'll extend us the videos that we want to see, but then also brands that are looking at that same kind of stuff, they're gonna see your things more likely. Yeah, so it's pretty interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, really sick. And really awesome that you grew so much. Like I thought you're doing it longer than a year, seriously. So do you have any tips how to grow faster on TikTok or something like that?
I think I wish I could do it more now. Now I've gotten so busy, and it was a blessing in disguise when we first went into quarantine because I had a lot more time in my hands. I was just very consistent, and I think that's no new news to anybody else. It's consistent is key. It's not a joke. It's not one of those like, oh, you should just do it. It is 100% probably the most important thing you can do on TikTok is be consistent and stay within your genre, niche, whatever you want to call it. Mine was education, and I would show behind the scenes, and that's how I think I was able to grow. And I was posting, 2 to 3 times a day, every day, and I think I did it for like 6 or 7 months before I even skipped one day of posting. Um, and I and for me, it was a little bit different because I had this backlog of so much stuff because, like I said, I wasn't able to show it on my Instagram account. So I just saved all these videos and I was like, what am I going to do with these? So then I pieced them all together and put them on TikTok instead. So I had like a year's worth of content that I was able to use throughout, the 6 months I first started out on TikTok.
That's amazing. Because I was also wondering, indeed, how are you making it? Because if you have shoots all day and then you're still working for your own business, now you have your studios. I mean, how do you still have time to film and create TikTok videos in the meantime? It sounds, and then 2 to 3 a day. It sounds like a lot of work. For
Yeah.
me, it takes like one video a week that I can produce. I
Yeah,
have no idea how you're doing that.
I can't do it as much anymore. Like if I can get one out a day, I'm pretty happy. But
That's
like
still a lot. One a day. That's like
what?
5 a week. Jeez.
Yeah, well, so that's what I try and do, at least for my stuff, because no matter what, I'm always taking photos like that. Whether it's for a
Yeah.
client, whether it's for myself, for fun, I'm always taking photos. If I'm able to grab some type of behind the scenes, I can at least turn that into a video that shows how I'm getting the shot. So in my case, it is easier. Whereas if, what if you're doing skits or you're doing
Mhm.
funny pranks? I don't know. Like those might be a lot harder to try and do three pranks in one day, but consistency is key. If you want to grow on TikTok, if you want to go on Instagram, you have to be very, very consistent.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then would you say quality matters or repeating similar content all the time or something like that?
I think it goes both ways. So
Hmm.
I think there are times to kind of copy viral trends. I don't think it's smart for someone to do a viral trend that doesn't make sense for them. So I've done it sometimes
Hmm.
where I've done like a viral trend and I'll switch it into something that fits me. So I'll incorporate a camera or something. There was a, this is just for an example. There's a trend with, I don't know if you saw this, like on the TikTok thing where they had the waterfall effect and they people were like making cool like smoke things with their faces, and as it went down it froze them. I don't know if you saw that. Anyways, so
No, I didn't saw that
it
one.
was like
Okay.
it was a trend and it was like a filter that they were using, and I was like, okay, how can I use this as a for me, for what I do? And so what I did was I used a camera and I stretched out the lens really long. So that way it was like, here's my brand new zoom lens. And it was like, ridiculously like that long. And I was taking a photo with it. And it was like, this is my 70 to 2000 millimeter lens. And
Uh-huh.
people liked it because it was like, it was on trend with a viral thing that was going around, but it still fit with what I did. Um, and so there is that side of it. But then going back to what I was saying about social media being the new resume, be careful of what you're always putting out there because if you want to use it to get clients, you need to make sure your work is at the quality standards that clients are going to want it at. If you're always posting viral trends or you're always posting just kind of like whatever content, it's not going to be great. You might grow and get a following, but it's not going to be great for brands wanting to reach out to you.
Yeah.
And I think if that's what you want, you need to be really mindful of how you're using it.
Ooh, interesting. And then now to get in a more technical
Oh yeah,
way of
let's
TikToks.
do it.
So, do you film it like with a camera or do you film it with your phone or something? Do you put it on hand, like on stand, or do you film it with your
All of the
hands?
above. So I think
Really?
all of the above. Yeah, I really think that so DSLR cameras are great for the professional side of it. So if I'm doing
Yeah.
a photo, I'm always going to take a picture with my DSLR camera because that's also what kind of sets me apart
Yeah.
from, a mobile photographer or anything else. So I always want to make sure I'm taking photos with just like my Sony A7R4. That's what my go-to camera is. Now, all the behind the scenes, I always use an iPhone. And I think TikTok, whether it's TikTok that likes it more or the people like it more, it just feels more organic and natural versus a well-produced, cinematic video that you're putting on TikTok. That's not what TikTok is for. I have a lot of friends who are super talented and they're trying to do what they've done on Instagram, which is, these really beautifully produced, good music, all of this kind of stuff on Instagram, and they take those videos and they put it on TikTok and they flop. And it's because the overly produced things on TikTok, they just don't do as well. You're not using trending music, you're not hitting that audience of catch it in the now, not something that you've sat at a computer and edited
Hmm.
for, a week and then you're putting it on there. People, it's just not the same for TikTok as it is for like Instagram.
Yeah, I felt that. It's more like dirtier behind the scenes, actual
Yeah,
life kind of thing, while Instagram is all pretty and perfect.
exactly. And I think it's fine like that. TikTok has its place, Instagram has its place, YouTube, they're all similar, but they call for different things.
And then editing, how do you edit your TikToks? Like within TikTok or Splice or something else?
I can't stand TikTok editing. I don't know how people do it. Like I think I'm just too spoiled with like using Premiere Pro and things. So when
Right. Yeah.
I'm sitting on TikTok, it takes me forever to try and like edit something where I'm like, all right, screw it, throw it on my Premiere Pro and cut it really quick and then export it. Um, so I think I've probably edited one video out of however many that I've ever posted on TikTok. But that's just because I find it really difficult and I can't do it. Yeah.
Yeah, it probably requires more time. And putting that text over, like I tried doing in the TikTok, it's just, whew,
Yeah, I
it
mean,
keeps
I do the
disappearing when you put it. Jesus. Yeah.
yeah, and I do the text overlays on TikTok, but when it comes to splicing things up, cutting things, and maybe adding effect, Premiere. I can't do it on TikTok.
But text overlays is also, it takes so long as it keeps disappearing, and then you have to wait till whole video passes, and then you can do it again and
Yeah.
then again and then again.
You know the pain. Yeah, it's the same thing too. Because the other thing is, I'm an awful, awful speller. I can't spell worth a damn, and TikTok doesn't spell check when you're doing it in the
Uh-oh.
on-screen captions. And the amount of times that I've uploaded things, I'm just like, oh my god, I spelled something wrong, and I have to take it down and just like, oh, it's embarrassing. So that's another
Oh
downfall.
no.
Please, TikTok, if you're listening, spell check. I would love that. It would make my life so much easier.
Right, make it a bit more optimized. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. So that was TikTok. Very good tips. Very
Yeah.
exciting. I want to try things out now. Next thing I want to talk about a bit more about commercial photography because I saw worked with really exciting brands like for example White Claw, right? And then Chubby, I don't know how to
Chubby. Yeah.
pronounce it.
Chubby.
Chubby. Yeah, I saw that's really cool. So, I wonder how do you find your clients or do clients find you right now because you're bigger on social media, let's say.
Um, so right now, for sure, clients have been finding me a lot more just because of the social media growth and uh, going back to me, what I'm saying about the marketing potential of what social media is. That's where it comes in really, really useful is getting clients. And when you don't have to
Yeah,
reach
me
out
too.
and you're not prospecting and they're coming to you directly, it just makes your life so much easier. That doesn't mean I haven't gone out and trying to find clients, but right now, the bulk of what I'm
Mhm.
getting are from either clients that have found me on social media or clients that I've worked with, and then it's word of mouth. I think
Nice.
that's still one of the most important like marketing tools that any photographer, anything you're doing, is word of mouth relationships that you're building. Make sure you're over delivering, making sure you're keeping the client happy, you're doing everything with a smile, because when you when when you make their life harder, they're not going to want to work with you anymore. And that's the whole point of a brand coming to you is, yes, you have talent, you are good, but to them you are making their life easier. It's why anybody
Yeah.
hires anybody for a job. If you're not making that person's life easier, they're not going to want to work with you. So keep that in mind anytime you're working with anyone. Make it easier. You're probably going to get a repeat client, and you never know who they're going to know.
No, that's true. We're problem solvers, not problem makers, as they say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're just like, oh, I don't know, I can't get this edit done, or
Yeah.
you miss deadlines or anything like that, it sticks, and they're gonna remember that, even though it might be a really small thing.
Yeah. I'm curious, do you work a lot with social media then agencies or do you work directly with the clients? I wonder how it is in LA.
Both, you know. Yeah, I've worked directly with the brands, like Chubby's. I worked directly with that brand, and the way that I got hooked up with them was through word of mouth from another brand I did work with. And they found me on social media, and it was this one, and it's called Truff. It's a truff sauce, and it's really, really good. Not a plug for them, but it is really, really good.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
I did a shoot with them, and it was just kind of like at the very beginning of my TikTok social media
Yeah.
growth, and they said, we have a small budget, we want to do this, and I was like, oh, you know what? I just want to do it. I just thought it was like a cool idea.
Ah,
I
sick.
really like
Yeah.
the brand, and I just did it. And because of that one shoot, I've probably gotten 10 new clients from it because I just handled it
Sick.
with a smile, did over delivered, kept them
Yeah.
up to date with all the analytics because I think it's really important for brands to know, the engagement, conversions, any type of traffic that's going to them, especially if it's good. Like, and
Oh, interesting.
that also helps too. The video itself, I think, had like 3 million views, so I was able to like, hey, look at what happened when we worked together, and then because of that,
Interesting.
they went and told all their circle, and they came to me. And now we're all working together.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Is that the one with the ketchup flying all over?
yeah,
Like
it's
ketchup, I
that
mean
one.
the sauce, sorry, the
No,
sauce
no,
flying
I
all
mean it
over?
looks kind of like ketchup. Yes, that was the one with the truffles hanging down. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a good one. I saw that.
yeah, that
Nice.
that one was really messy. That one made my garage stink for a long time.
I'm curious, do you create these ideas or do you work with some art director or is it a brand that comes up and say, "Hey, I want things flying. Can you do
Us-
this?"
Usually it's me. I might
Nice.
brainstorm with the client or other people that I hire for the job. But for the
Yeah.
most part, it's me just like honestly, I'm just messing around. I'm like, it'd be kind of cool. Let's take let's take hot sauce and throw it at a bottle and see what happens. And
Yeah.
sometimes it works, and sometimes it works out terribly, and it makes a huge mess. I mean, I don't know if you ever saw any of like the behind the scenes pictures where I had like this plastic tarp laid out all throughout the
Yeah.
studio, and it was probably like 20 feet by 20 feet. And
Yeah.
when after the shoot you look down, it was just like it looked like a bloody mess because there's red sauce and it was just
Yeah.
everywhere. And I was like, this looks like a crime scene. But we got the shot, and that's all that matters to me. And it's something I always preach to people is like, I don't really care what everything else outside the frame looks like. It can be
No.
messy, it can be jimmy rigged, it can utilize what you can. I mean, to give you an example, the things that I'm hanging the truffles
Yeah.
off of, was a kitchen sink grate that was in my kitchen sink, and I just took that and I put it on two stands and I duct taped it to there, and I took fishing wire that was lying around and I hung the truffles off
Yeah.
of it. So I'm utilizing things that are around me because all that matters is whatever's in that little frame.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yep.
That's super creative.
Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes I get stuck with ideas how to actually do that indeed. Yeah,
Oh,
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, because I also wanted to dive into this action shot because I shoot a lot of action shots and I always, sometimes I get stuck. For example, how do you decide whether, you're going to hang things or you're going to throw things?
Depending on what's maybe easier, how many hands I have on with me. If I have extra hands, I'll try and throw things, or have somebody hold something so I don't have to rely on strings holding stuff. But I mean,
Yeah,
especially in the beginning, I was just doing all these shoots by myself, so it was I'd have a remote in my hand, or actually in the very beginning, I didn't even have a remote. I would just do a self timer, and that was awful because and I in the beginning I also used hot lights instead of strobes, continuous
okay.
lighting. That way, I was able to just like rapid fire the shots, just put it on like a
Ah,
burst, and then I'd be standing over in the corner, set my timer, and I'd throw something
yeah,
at
throw.
whatever it was, and I'd do it like 20 times
Nice.
to see if I can get the shot.
Yeah.
And sometimes that works, but now that the shoots are getting bigger, having more hands on deck is I'm able to get a little bit more intricate, a little bit more
Mhm.
thoughtful, and instead of my old process of throw and like pray that I get a good shot.
Yeah, because for me, throwing is way more fun. I
Yeah.
like it a lot. Then I can throw stuff and like cacao powder or whatever. But hanging, I think, gives you more control. But to hang it also is quite difficult, I find it.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends. It depends on what you're hanging too. Like sometimes if you're hanging things that can break really easily, especially if you're
Yeah.
throwing something at it, um, like I mean, Photoshop is a beautiful thing too. So I've also done where I think it was the rose. I did a rose image and
Yeah.
I set a rose on fire. Don't try that home because I did almost burn down my studio. uh, so I had the rose, and then I wanted to catch rose petals falling behind it. Now, lighting a rose on fire and trying to take pictures and trying to drop roses was unrealistic for me to do all at the same time because when I lit my rose on fire, like I put gasoline on it, so it was so bad.
I saw the video. It
It,
just went into
it
the
just went
flames.
up, and the thing I had it sticking in was just I didn't think it through. That caught on fire, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, thank God nobody saw that because it's so embarrassing. And so what I did with the rose petals to save my studio and potentially like my head of hair, so it didn't burn off, was I took like a piece of a pencil and I just taped rose petals in there, and I went and took
Yeah.
photos individually of the
Ah,
petals floating
smart.
around, and then I compiled it in Photoshop. And that way, I can. It was a lot easier for me. So also trying to figure out the easiest way to do it for yourself.
Right. That just gives you more work with Photoshop, but in the beginning it's easier to capture it. Yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Never tried that yet.
Yeah, compositing has been something that I've been doing a lot since like the beginning of my product photography because a
Yeah.
lot of my shots are left up to chance, and
Mhm.
every photo is going to be different, if especially if you're throwing things at it. And you might almost get that shot where, let's say, here I have a bottle right here. So you have a bottle right here, and it splashes against the bottom, but you're like, shoot, I really want the water to hit up here as well. So then you take a second shot, you aim up here, and then in post, I'll compile it together. So it feels like this really overwhelming tidal wave that's coming over your bottle.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then probably capturing first just a bottle with no
I always
like
love to
water
take
flowing.
safety. Yeah, always love to take safety shots. That way, logos are in focus. The bottle or whatever the product might be, it's well lit. You're not relying on because once you start throwing things in there, I mean, it's going to change lighting, and at the end of the day, it's still a product shot, and it has to be displayed really, really premiumly.
And another question that comes out of this, because indeed you do a lot of throwings and splashings and etc. How do you protect your equipment? Because I mean, it must go all
Everywhere.
over, right?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
I've gotten better, but yeah, in the beginning, I was not taking care of it. I would just, I don't know. For some reason, I thought my equipment was invincible, and that's not the case. So, like, I would be splashing chocolate milk and stuff around, and then after my 10th take, I'd look at my lens, and the lens is just covered in chocolate milk,
Oh
and I'm just like,
no.
oh no. Um, so I've gotten better. I use plexiglass. I'll use tarps,
Uh,
especially for like the trough shoot that I did. That one I
yeah.
knew was going to get really messy, and I did not want to get that on my camera or my lenses. Um,
Yeah.
so like that one, I did a plexiglass thing in front of the lens, so I was shooting through that,
Uh-huh.
and then I took plastic tarp sheets and I gaffer taped it around my lens and created like a housing around my camera,
Oh, sick.
and then I
Yeah.
brought it over my head, so I was like sitting it under this tent, and I would take photos of it. Yeah, the, I've gotten better and more thoughtful about it because camera equipment
Uh-huh.
is expensive, and I've
Yeah.
lost some things on set doing just going for it.
Yeah. I bet. I feel like I'm not yet protective enough. So that's why I'm asking, because I mean, whatever I shoot, I also like to do all these kinds of explosions and things. And I don't
Yeah,
yet put anything in front of my camera, which I think is a terrible idea. So
you got
I
to be
guess I need to
careful
start
because
looking
liquids or powders, even
into.
powders, are
Yeah.
dangerous because they can get if they find their way into like a crevice
Yeah.
or into your lens if it's not weather sealed. Um, oh yeah, it can ruin your
Yeah.
camera. And yeah, I've lost
Yeah.
lenses. I've just learned to take it from
Oh,
experience.
God.
That sucks.
Yeah. That probably I should start looking into. And the plexiglass, that didn't affect quality or anything? Was
No,
okay?
it for the most part it didn't, and that's where I think the safety images come out really nice. So I'll take my
Uh,
one image of the bottle with the logo showing really crystal clear. That will have nothing in front of the lens, and then for like the
Mhm.
splashing shots, I can put the plexiglass in front of it
Mm.
and then shoot through it, and it still comes out fairly good. But then I'll take that original
Yeah.
photo and put it in there to make sure that the logo is the best it possibly can be.
And let's say when you shoot for shoots like that, like, and especially if it's for client, I bet you have some sort of, let's say, timeline or deadline for yourself, right? So let's say you shot for Chubby, if I'm pronouncing that correctly
Yeah,
again.
chubbies. No, you got it right.
Chubby?
Yeah,
Yeah, good. So you had like these little clouds hanged, and then they were dipped in, I think, peanut butter or something like
yeah,
that,
yeah.
because something was dripping. So how long a shoot like that takes?
Uh,
Is I mean, how long for one picture you work? Let's say.
it all depends. I think that chubby shoot
Yeah.
was a full day shoot, so we probably started around like 9:30 a.m. somewhere around there, and then went into the
Mhm.
evening. Probably got done around like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. But we took a bunch of photos. I think we took a total.
Ah, okay.
I think final deliverables were like mid 20 photos, somewhere around that, like fully
In
edited
one
and everything.
day?
Yeah, I work
Wow,
really fast. Um, I don't
sick.
I don't like to belabor a photo. When I feel I have it, I move on.
Yeah,
And that's how my workflow goes. I will. There are obviously shots that will take longer than others, like the ones with well, actually, the ones with the clouds dipping into the peanut butter, that one didn't take as long as I thought it was going to take. The one that took a lot longer were, stringing up individual sandwiches, had the bag underneath it, and then built like a tower
yeah.
of fruit. And then I did like a fruit rainbow. That one took a long time because that's a lot more product food styling, and that can take a
That's a lot of
really long
styling. Yeah.
but yeah, the one where I
Uh,
just like dipped it in, that probably took me like 30 minutes, if that.
oh, that's really quick.
Yeah.
Wow,
I I,
you work
I
fast.
work really fast. Yeah,
Oh, that's good.
I don't see the point in spending too long on one product shot or anything like that, especially I mean, if you need to, definitely do it. But if I'm able to move
Yeah,
on and get more from my client and give them a like I think for that shoot, I told them I was going to give them 10 photos, but I just got really
yeah,
into the moment and I gave them a full day shoot. I'm going to give you whatever it can get in
yeah,
this shoot. The more ideas that we come up
yeah.
with, we're just going to shoot it and we'll give it to you. And so if I'm able to work fast, that means I can get more work to the client and then they're ultimately more happy and then we get more work on the back
Yeah.
end of it.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So a little bit under promising, or to so to say,
Yeah,
to
under
just make
promise
sure
over
that the
deliver.
client comes out happy. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So saying that I will do about 10 pictures, but if it works out, maybe more, and then delivering all 20. That's amazing.
Yes, I always try
Yeah.
and get like a couple more or like maybe if I have a different concept because we'll put together a mood board and shot list before we do it, but then on set and I'm sure you do the same thing where like you see something you're like, "Oh, this would be really cool if we tried this." And I'll shoot it
Yeah.
because I'd rather shoot it, show it to them, like here's also
Yeah.
something else I did for you and how like my creative works and maybe that will spark another conversation of I really like that one shot you did. Can we do more with other products?
Yeah.
So that keeps the conversation going with clients.
Oh, that's interesting. And then do you basically, because most sounds like you already have some sort of shot list beforehand that you want to tick, or do you completely freestyle the whole time for the client
Most
shoot?
of the
Let's say
time,
choppy.
I've had clients that do both, where it'll be a very specific shot list, where it'll even say like product here with flower rose petal on the left, have a cloud floating in the background that's no bigger than 2 inches on screen. It'll
Oh
be
my God, yeah.
very specific. And
Yeah.
then I'll have ones that'll say, get us 10 photos and make it awesome. And that's
Yeah.
it. Uh,
Oh, that's the best.
yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah. So, I
Yeah.
mean, it's either one. I work with it. I always like to tell my new clients that say that I like to have a little bit more direction because,
Hmm.
when they see some of my shots, they're like, wow, your white
Yeah.
claw shot was amazing.
Yeah.
We want you to shoot our product and we trust your creative
Yeah.
vision and you can just do it. Well, the thing about the White Claw image that they're not looking at the White Claw image with a scrutinizing eye because it's not
Hmm.
their brand. It's somebody else's, so they just get to enjoy the art of it, and they're like, oh, that's cool. Now, what White Claw is saying is, does this fit my brand? Is everything
Yeah.
in focus? Is my logo perfect? Are there dents in the can? Are there smudges anywhere? Is it, you know, they're looking at more of the technical side. So what they're seeing is very different than what another brand is seeing. So every brand to me is different in that when you tell me just go for it, I always warn them. I'm like, the reason why you love these other shots is because you're not attached to them. So I want to make sure that you're attached to the shot that we're shooting, not the White Claw image or the Chubby's images, because you're gonna have you're gonna have a lot more feedback than what you're looking at of some other brands. So I think that's really important for them to realize.
Yeah, that makes sense. So do you beforehand some sort of send like a treatment or something to just agree on a styling, at least something, so you don't just go create something then send to them and they're like, I don't know,
Yeah,
maybe it's not it. You know what I
100%.
mean?
I have to
Yeah,
do that. I've done it in the past where I have just freestyled it, and they're like, and that's why I do this now is because they'll say, go create
yeah,
10 images and we trust you. And then I'll go shoot something, and then they're like, well, we were hoping you could shoot it at the beach. We were hoping, like, see, you do have an idea of what you want.
yeah,
You just aren't telling
yeah,
me. And now you're going to put it on me as I didn't deliver what you wanted, but you didn't tell me what you wanted and told me to do whatever I wanted to. Uh, so, yes, I think a scope of work is really important. First, outlining these are going to be how many deliverables you're going to get. This is when you're going to get them, what to expect, just to set a baseline. And then have a mood board, inspo board, vibes, colors, anything that just helps give more direction so that there aren't
yeah,
any negative surprises at the end. So you're not like, oh, I want it at the beach, but you shot it in a park, and now I can't use any of these, and we're we don't want to pay you, and it's like, and then it just ruins a relationship like that. So the more upfront work, pre-production you can do, the better.
it's good. Yeah. Not only it saves time, guidance, but you also know exactly what the client will want without any surprises. Yeah,
Exactly, and they know what they're going to be getting, and I
yeah,
mean, also you can also go back to the scope of work or the mood board and be like, no, we both
yeah,
agreed on this type of
yeah,
photography.
yeah, yeah,
This is what
yeah,
you wanted. Now it's
yeah,
you. They can't say anything or just put pure blame on you.
yeah, exactly.
Cover your
So that's
butts.
very important. Yeah. And do they come usually on a shoot with you, or do you keep sending images through online, or you just first shoot and then deliver, edit it, and that's
I
it?
think it depends on how big the client is.
Mm.
Usually, if it's a younger startup, they won't want to be on set. They'll just say, you know, we'll do the whole scope of work, mood boards, inspo, and then I'll go shoot.
Yeah.
And I might send them like a snapshot of what we're doing here or there, and so they can just kind of be a part of the experience. With larger brands, they 100% want to be on Zoom calls or be there or and it takes so much longer, but it is
Yeah, that's
good.
true.
It takes a
Yeah.
very long time, and it is good because a lot of times there's a lot more money behind the project, so we want to make sure everybody's happy. But going through the amount of approvals, oh my god, I wish
Oh,
I
yeah.
could share a story right now, but I can't because it still hasn't been released yet. But maybe in the future I can come back on here and tell you about it. But yeah,
Yeah.
it takes so much longer.
No, that's true. Yeah, I've been there too. Yeah. But the worst for me was now like during Corona, not always client can be on set. So I also had the ones where I have to send through WhatsApp, let's say the images like online for them to approve.
Yeah,
And I think that's the worst. And I think that should be maybe not even there because that really like sometimes I would have to wait 30 or 40 minutes to get an approval while I
exactly.
have a lot of images that I have to shoot.
And
It's a tricky
you
one.
can't break down your set and you can't reset your something
No,
else.
yeah,
And that's
exactly.
exactly what
Yeah.
just happened to me. So I feel your pain. I
Yeah.
understand it, and it just drives me insane because you are just because, like I said, you know, I work really fast. So when I'm not working fast, I'm
Yeah.
just, oh,
Yeah.
it's the worst for me.
I get you. Nice. Okay. So a couple more. We're almost done.
Yeah, no, this is
So,
great.
oh yeah. So it seems like you're having a lot of fun at your work as you have all these throwings and everything.
Yeah.
Like and also in TikTok, you can see that you're having fun. So I wonder, like, what is most fun for you at your work?
I really enjoy working with friends. That's probably my biggest thing is like every shoot I can do and incorporate my friends, my fiance, my producer that I work with really closely. You know, I was his best man in his wedding, so it's like that to me is like it's just it makes the experience so much better when you get to share it with people around you that are doing it because they believe in what you're doing and they're just having fun at the same time. So like I think the Truff one is such a perfect example because everybody shooting in that video was either my fiance, like one of my best friends, and then his wife. And since we had a bunch of truffles, we were gonna have a truffle dinner at the end of the shoot, and that was like our goal was we'll get the shoot done, and then we're gonna make a truffle risotto and steak, and like make like this really nice dinner with all these truffles. Um, so it's like that to me is like the best part of everything. Obviously, I love creating images, getting the feedback from clients that are saying this is amazing, this is good work, we'd love to work with you again. That makes it worth it as well. But I have been on sets where things can get really stressful and things just they're not working out. So the more I can smile and have fun and people around me that are just positive and don't make it feel like work, it just feels like messing around with some friends, the better. And that to me is my favorite part in all of this.
Oh, that's really cool. So you build a team around you from people that you already kind of know and
I
you
try
enjoy
to.
working with.
And of course, their throwing abilities can only go so far. So I'm not going to take my one of my friends and put him behind a camera because he doesn't know how to operate it. But when I'm thinking,
Yeah,
oh, I need somebody to toss something or throw something, I'll give him a call. I'm like, hey Matt, I need this. Would you be able to come over?
yeah.
Like we'll do this shoot and then we can have. I got like 10 cases of White Claw, so then we can drink White Claw afterwards and drink while we're getting this photo. And it is
Mhm.
like, yeah, of course, like this is going to be fun. Um, but then, of course, for like the bigger shoots that require more technical aspects, I'll hire the people. But I also only hire people that I get along with that we can just have fun with on set.
Yeah, that makes sense. Nice. Do you have, for the listeners, let's say some recommended books or some, I don't know, bloggers or influencers or anything that you think inspires you in your work or can teach them more about photography?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a ton of great like YouTube channels out there. I mean, Daniel Schiffer. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. Incredible.
Hmm.
Like he's got
Really
incredible
good stuff.
videos. His
Yeah.
another one is Austin Paul. He's got some
Mhm.
amazing videos as well. Then there's, I mean, I look at photographers and videographers all the time. Um,
Yeah.
I I think to me, I used to get caught up in the motion or the emotion of, man, that person's so good. I'll never be as good as them. And I still go through it all the time. I think every one of us has that moment of like, oh, I love my photo, and then I'll see somebody else and like, I hate my photo. My
Like,
photo sucks.
yeah. Yeah.
And we all go
Yeah.
through it, and I still do it. But I used to instead what I used to do was I used to shut that out, and I was like, oh, I don't want to look at their stuff, and I just want to focus on mine and it's
Uh-huh.
my work, and that worked for a while for me. But then I started realizing that no, I can learn from these people. I can watch them. I can
Mhm.
see what they're doing and change it, make it my own. And I think that's even more valuable than paying attention solely to your work and not comparing to other people, because that is true. And you shouldn't compare your work at that time with somebody else that's been doing this for a long time or shooting a different style,
Yeah.
but being able to look at them from more of a educational standpoint and say, what are they doing that I can use in my workflow? So depending on what the my job will entail, so like somebody that I really look up to in portrait
Yeah.
photography, his name is John Sams. He does a lot of beauty photography. He shoots with like some of the
Mhm.
biggest beauty influencers in the game, and his photos are amazing. But
Mhm.
I wouldn't consider myself a beauty photographer, but I still want to learn it. And when I'm on set with him and I'm shooting a video for the same person he's doing beauty shots of, I'll pick his brain. I'll ask him like, "Oh, what lights are you using? How you set this up? Oh, are you using this as a fill light? Why would you do that opposed to doing this?"
Yeah.
And well, people are out there and they're much more willing to give you educational tips than you realize.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
everybody likes to feel valued, and asking people questions, it actually you get a lot better responses than I think you think.
I agree. I don't
Yeah.
think it's very
And then,
important.
of
Yeah.
course, I look at the big people, the Annie Leibowitzes, the Platons there.
Yeah.
Like love his work. One of my favorite photographers in the game, his name is Mick Rock. He shot. Yeah, he's much older now, but he shot celebrities and rock stars from the 60s, 70s, 80s, Mick Jagger, David Bowie, Queen,
Oh,
all
yeah.
of these. And now he's shooting, Justin Bieber and all of those people today. But he's taught me a lot because he was one of those photographers that he just picked up a camera, he started shooting, didn't go to school for it. He made good relationships. He's also got a crazy story. I mean, you can imagine living the rock star life back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. He has
Yeah.
stories, but he's just, he had a philosophy that on his documentary that I just found so important because one, he talks about the relationships and just being in the moment, but then two, he talks about the technical aspects as don't overcomplicate your shoots, don't overcomplicate your lighting. If you have an idea, go and shoot it. If you have, he also mentions that he doesn't understand why photographers complicate light so much, and lighting can be so
Yeah.
complicated. He's like, I have one light, and here's a guy that shot everybody. I have one light I use.
Uh-huh.
If I don't like where it is, I move it. I don't think about Rembrandt
Sick.
lighting. I don't think about split lighting or butterfly
Yeah.
lighting. All of these different things. I move the light to where I like it, and I take my photo, and I move on. And that's just how he takes photos. And it's worked for him, and it's a philosophy I try to remember when I'm overcomplicating either a
Yeah.
creative idea, a photo, a setup. It's just like shoot it, move, shoot it, move, shoot it, move,
Yeah.
instead of just trying to make it perfect right out of the gate.
Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Is there somewhere his biography or something, or where did you find out all
So
this?
I followed Mick Rock for a while now, but then he just came out with a documentary called Shot. It was on
Okay.
Netflix. I don't know if it's on there anymore, but if you can watch it, and if you, well, it makes it
Yeah.
much better if you enjoy like that era of music. I really do. So it's just like killing two birds with one stone. I was like, oh, I get to learn about David Bowie and Jagger and Pink Floyd while I'm also learning about photography and this guy's life.
Yeah.
I was like, this is the greatest documentary ever. But it's called Shot. I would check it out, look
Uh-huh.
it up, stream it.
Shot. Okay.
It's really good. It's really good.
I'll check. Curious.
Yeah.
Nice. Ooh, how exciting. A lot of exciting information and nice closing advice, I think. So the last question basically, where can the listeners find you? What's the best way to follow you and to see your work and learn from you?
Yeah, I mean, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I'm starting to do much more in-depth tutorials on YouTube, which are going to be because like my TikTok is more of like the 15-second high level. YouTube, I'll dive into it a lot more, talk about a little bit more of the technical side of it, how I'm setting things up. But everything is Evan underscore Naka. YouTube is just Evan Naka. But yeah, follow me there. I try and respond to a lot of DMs and answer questions. I'll do daily tips. So yeah, look forward to seeing anybody that follows me.
Yeah, nice. Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us.
Yeah, no, this has been a
It
lot
was
of fun.
super,
Thank
super
you.
interesting. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, this has been great.